I landed a job on a secret submarine. The truth they never wanted you to know. Deep under the turbulent waves, a world unseen thrived in shadows, where whispered secrets danced ominously among the currents. An electric thrill surged through Jack as he gripped the metallic latch of the submarine, ready to plunge into the secrets of the oceans that had remained hidden for decades. Each twist of the knob echoed like a heartbeat, a call to adventure that seemed almost too surreal. This wasn't just another job. It was a leap into the enigmatic abyss, where danger lurked and history shivered. Once inside, the air felt thick with tension, weighted by the unspoken stories of the men who had come before him, leaving behind cryptic trails of fear and courage. The faint glow of screens hummed with life. Data streams flickered like ghosts in the dim light. Jack's heart raced as he adjusted the panels. There were surveillance operations marked classified, energy readings so intense they bordered on mythical, and the specter of communication devices that could listen to the whispers of whales or far more sinister things. And then there were the rumors, the sort of tales that slithered through the ranks like a shadow at midnight. Something was lurking beneath the surface, something that had made previous crew members vanish. Jack could feel the tension creeping in, gnawing at his thoughts, choking his bravado little by little. As he stood on the bridge, the captain's eyes darted nervously toward the depths, and whispers of the lost mission cut through the air like jagged glass, a warning echoing in every breath. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As Jack's fingers danced over the controls, he felt an insistent pull from the depths. An unmarked sonar echo pinged through the speaker's low, haunting, almost alive. It was a sound so unsettling. It felt like an invitation or a warning. Ripples of sweat dotted his brow. What lay beneath could be history's greatest treasure or an unforgiving reckoning. With resolve, he closed his eyes and inhaled sharply, aware that every choice might plunge him deeper into a nightmarish truth. What had he truly signed up for? What awaited them in the dark? The submarine creaked around him, an ancient beast trying to shake off the lurid whispers of its past. Jack's heart thudded in his chest like a war drum, each beat a reminder that he was far from the safety of the surface. The echo from the sonar still resonated through the air, vibrating deep within his bones. What was out there? Jack, the captain's gravelly voice broke through the haze. You need to monitor the depth and maintain radio silence. We don't want to draw attention. His tone was sharp, but there was an edge of desperation hidden beneath the authority. He nodded, though dread curled in his stomach. How could they remain silent with something unknown lurking so close? Operating the controls felt like playing a game with no chance of winning. And with each pulse of the strange sonar, reality twisted into a more sinister shape. Darkness stretched around them, water swirling like thick smoke. He tried to concentrate, rerouting the energy to the periscope. Peering through the eyepiece, he scanned the depths, but the view was obscured, only shadows skimming past. A chill slithered up his spine, and he shuddered. Everything okay? The second in command, Maria, asked with a hint of concern, her eyes flickering with worry. Jack could see her pulse racing beneath her skin, and that quiet panic only fanned the flames of his own fear. Yeah, just checking, he lied, knowing full well that the only thing he could do was stare into the abyss. The loss of previous crew members gnawed at his mind, turning his thoughts into a cacophony of warning bells. Suddenly, the submarine jolted. The control panels flickered as alarms blared harshly, casting red lights across their faces. Jack stumbled, barely catching himself against the cold metal. What was that? He shouted over the chaos. His heart raced as he fought against the overwhelming surge of panic. Check the hull integrity, Maria barked, a mix of authority and fear in her voice. But before Jack could respond, another echo reverberated through the depths, a resonant growl, this time animalistic and raw, like a beast awakened from a long slumber. Those readings, Jack whispered, eyes wide. It's something alive. The panels displayed a series of fluctuating numbers, but his gut knew. They were caught in the territory of something unexplained, something watching them with unaware malice. We need to ascend, the captain commanded, shifting into action. Jack's hands shook as he fiddled with the controls, setting a course upward. Each second felt suspended in time, each moment becoming a torturous stretch of anticipation. Was this the descent into chaos every crewmate warned him about? Were they the next ghosts of the sea? Just then, the submarine shuddered violently, throwing everyone against the walls. A monstrous shadow danced outside the porthole, its size eclipsing everything Jack had ever imagined. A twisted amalgamation of darkness and dread, its eyes glinted in the murky water, hungry, predatory, and very real. What in the world is that? Maria gasped, stumbling back, her expression one of horror and disbelief. As if sensing their fear, the creature surged closer, leaving Jack breathless. The submarine rattled again, metal screaming as if it were alive. He locked eyes with the captain, the unspoken understanding hanging heavily in the air. They had unwittingly crossed a threshold into a world where human life held no value against the mysteries hidden beneath. With the creature now circling them, Jack could only wonder, what had he truly signed up for? The abyss was no longer an abstract fear, it was real, and it was hungry. Could they survive whatever nightmare awaited? Would they be another missed statistic in the depths? Or could they find a way to escape the horror closing in? His pulse thundered as he tried to stabilize the submarine, knowing that the very next choice would determine their fate. Would they face the beast lurking just outside their fragile shell, or would it consume them whole? As the darkness threatened to overwhelm, Jack's mind raced for solutions. But beneath the waves, the real question loomed. What had they unleashed from the depths? The lights flickered as Jack fought to keep control of the submarine, his fingers slipping over the cold console. The creature outside loomed large, a dark silhouette against the background of swirling water. Thoughts crashed through his mind like waves battering the hull. How could they possibly survive? Alert the crew. Captain Henderson's voice cut through the panic. He moved with a surprising calm, barking orders that kept the mounting fear at bay. We may have to dive deeper to evade it. No, Jack shouted, incredulity bubbling in his chest. We can't go deeper. We don't know what else could be down there. Maria threw him a look of desperate support. We have to do something, Jack. It's coming for us. The beast hit the hull with a resounding thud, and the metal groaned as if sharing their terror. Jack squeezed his eyes shut for a heartbeat, trying to conjure a plan amid the chaos. He had read tales of harrowing depths, of naval legends that spoke of creatures beyond comprehension. But this was not fantasy, this was pure survival. Suddenly, the lights dimmed almost to black. The emergency lights cast an eerie red glow, revealing the fear etched on the crew's faces. We need to know its size, Jack urged, fighting back a surge of adrenaline. He hurried to the sonar screen, tightening his grip. If we can calculate its speed and trajectory, the captain nodded, urgency sharpening his features. Do it. We don't have time. Jack's fingers trembled as he input the data. He felt the pressure mount, suffocating him in its weight. As the sonar pinged, he held his breath, every echo bringing a new layer of dread. Shadows danced on the display, a chaotic blur that seemed alive with menace. It's getting closer, Jack muttered, his heart plummeting. The numbers shot up, the lines sweeping through the graph like angry serpents. And it's enormous. Reinforce the hull. Maria's voice was fierce, crackling with palpable fear. If it breaks through at 1T. Jack snapped, though his voice lacked conviction. They were running out of options. There was a dark thought lingering in the back of his mind. What if this creature was more than just an animal, something more ancient, primal? A chilling silence enveloped them, the only sounds their frantic breaths and the hollow groans of the submarine. Just then, the creature struck again, shaking the vessel violently. Jack struggled to keep his footing as alarms howled, shrieking warnings that echoed far beyond the metal walls. What if it? Jack began, but was cut off as the creature roared once more. The sound reverberated through the metallic confines of the submarine, resonating with an inexplicable fear that gripped him like ice. Brace yourselves, the captain yelled. The vessel shuddered, and Jack felt a surge of dread claw at his insides. Look, Maria screamed, pointing out the porthole. Jack turned to see a flash, something glistening, a sliver of silver darting through the murky waters. Another creature? Or was it something else? Is that? Jack narrowed his eyes, searching the wobbly depths. The sheer size of the beast was unmatched, but the glimmer sparked something in him. Could it be the key to understanding what they faced? Could it bring them salvation? The submarine rattled again, and the lights flickered more violently. The moment hung frozen in fear as the creature roared one last time, its maw opening wide. Jack's stomach tightened. The abyss was not just a void of darkness. It was alive. Get ready. The captain's voice cut through the tension. We can't wait any longer. Whatever it is, make the call. Jack's fingers hovered over the controls, his mind racing, adrenaline flooding his veins. He was on the precipice of a moment that would determine their fates. As he prepared to make a decision that felt entirely reckless, another thunderous crash rocked the vessel, and Jack braced for impact. The question loomed like a specter. What fate awaited them beneath these treacherous waves, and what was that shimmering flash in the abyss? The creature slammed against the hull yet again, sending shockwaves rippling through the submarine. Jack staggered, gripping the console tightly to keep himself upright. Panic surged through him. Looking at the crew, he could see the realization dawn. This wasn't just an attack, it was relentless. Get the crew to the emergency stations. Captain Henderson shouted, his voice a steady anchor in the rising tide of fear. We need to prepare for worst-case scenarios. Maria moved quickly, her eyes wild but determined, rallying the others. Every face they passed reflected a horror all too palpable. Jack gazed back at the sonar, beads of sweat forming at his brow. The creature was on a collision course, and its size it was beyond anything he could fathom. Jack! Maria's voice was urgent, pulling him from his thoughts. What are you seeing? Data keeps spiking, he said, heart racing. Whatever that is, it's more than just a fish. It's huge, and it's angry. It's hunting us. One crew member shouted from across the chamber, his voice breaking in fear. No. Jack snapped back, barely keeping his own dread at bay. We have to think rationally. But his own words felt hollow against the roiling chaos. As if to confirm their horror, the creature struck again. This time, a low, gut-wrenching groan echoed through the metal walls, like the submarine itself was screaming. Alarms blared, and the lights flickered ominously. He saw Maria turn, her face pale but fierce. Jack, you need to come with me. We can't let that thing breach the hull, she urged, gesturing toward a weapons locker. We need something, anything. He nodded, feeling the weight of the decision pressing on him like an anchor. They couldn't just wait and see. It was now or never. Together, they sprinted toward the door, bracing against each lurch of the submarine as they navigated through the panicked cries of the crew. In the weapons locker, Jack's hands shook as he grabbed a harpoon gun. This might not work, he said, his voice shaken. But it's better than doing nothing. Better something than nothing. Maria shouted, her determination rekindling his own. Let us get back to the control room. As they dashed back, Jack spotted that eerie glimmer again out of the porthole, something darting past the shrieking beast. There. He pointed, already slipping into a blend of calculation and instinct. His mind raced. What if that silver shimmer could reveal the creature's weakness? Get the harpoon ready, he commanded, rushing through the door back to the control room. The atmosphere was thick with tension. Crew members clung to the equipment, faces pale, eyes wide with fear. Jack, what's the plan? Henderson's voice commanded as he turned to them, urgency radiating from him. Maria and I will try to lure it, make it attack the hull on the other side while you take aim, Jack replied, a reckless edge to his voice. It was dangerous, but there wasn't an alternative. Are you insane? Henderson's brows knitted together, disbelief evident on his face. Do we have a better option? We can't just hide. Jack shot back, adrenaline igniting his conviction. The captain studied him, the weight of leadership heavy on his shoulders. All right, do it. But be careful. We can't afford to lose anyone else. Jack felt a chill run down his spine. There it was again. The beast slammed against the hull, and they felt it in their bones. Time was running out. As Jack and Maria prepared themselves, the creature roared, and the lights flickered dangerously. They could see the anger in its colossal eyes, staring right at them through the murky depths of the water. Jack swallowed. He felt the metallic taste of fear in his mouth. On three, he whispered to Maria, gritting his teeth. 1, 2, 3. They stepped forward, adrenaline pumping in their veins. And then all hell broke loose as they detonated their plan. But the reality of the situation hung precariously in the balance. The creature's roars echoed against their bones, drowning out their thoughts. Their lives were about to collide with that which haunted the deep. Could they survive the chaos, or had they just signed their fate? The grotesque shape outside thrashed violently, and as chaos erupted, Jack realized they had awakened something far worse than they ever imagined. And as the water around them began to churn, an even darker shadow whispered in the abyss, unearthing secrets long buried. What were they really meant to encounter beneath the surface? The harpoon gun trembled in Jack's grasp, his fingers slick with sweat. He glanced at Maria, whose eyes were wide with both fear and resolve. They had just ignited a desperate distraction, but would it be enough to keep the creature at bay or lure it into their trap? Now, he shouted, slamming a button that released an ear-splitting alarm throughout the submarine. The blaring sound was meant to draw the beast's attention, to pull it away from the vulnerable hull. Jack held his breath, eyes locked onto the thick glass porthole. The creature surged, a shadow of unimaginable proportions breaking through the dim blue of the ocean. It was more than a monster. It was an embodiment of despair, an eye set like black onyx, glistening with a fury that sent a jolt of adrenaline coursing through him. A shudder rippled through the submarine as the beast collided with the hull, a guttural roar reverberating through the metal, making the entire vessel feel like it might split apart. Maria stepped beside him, raising her harpoon gun, her face a mix of determination and terror. "Get ready, Jack," she yelled over the cacophony, her steady hand mirroring his racing pulse. "Just don't aim too high." He shot back, heart hammering. They needed to hit it. They needed to expose its weakness. But hitting a moving target in turbulent water was like trying to shoot a dart while riding a roller coaster. The alarms continued to scream, but a new sound emerged, a low, unsettling hum that vibrated through the submarine, penetrating the chaos. Jack's eyes widened as he registered it. It felt almost like a voice, vibrating from the very depths of the dark water. It was then that he noticed the shimmering glimmers again, darting like reflections in the frenzied thrashings of the beast. "It's not just a creature," he gasped, a sudden revelation crashing over him. "There's something in the water with it." Before Maria could respond, the beast lunged again, this time more feral, teeth bared. Jack instinctively pulled her back, barely avoiding a spray of freezing seawater as it crashed against the glass. The mixture of panic and excitement twisted inside him. "Get the harpoon ready," he shouted again, but his voice was nearly drowned out by the roar of the creature. Suddenly, a violent shift in pressure rattled the submarine, a force so immense it felt like a bomb exploding. Jack gripped the console, bracing for impact, but his eyes were glued to the shadows dancing outside the porthole. The silver shimmer was moving closer, darting alongside the creature, and it looked familiar. "Jack!" Maria yelled, her voice cutting through the noise. "Look!" He followed her gaze, and there it was. The shimmering light hadn't been just an illusion. It was a smaller creature, matching the larger one in form, but glowing with an otherworldly luminescence. A sudden thrill pulsed through him. "It's like it's trying to communicate, or lead it somewhere," Maria suggested, eyes flickering with a mix of hope and horror. "Shooting at the big one might draw it," Jack said. "We don't know what it will do next." Maria's expression hardened. "Then we must find out." With a hesitant nod, Jack raised the harpoon gun, the weight of the decision heavy on his shoulders. The creature's eyes bore down on them, filled with a primal fury that sent chills racing down his spine. Time seemed to freeze, and in that moment of uncertainty, he felt the stakes escalate. "Jack!" Henderson's commanding voice boomed through the chaos. "Now is our chance. Fire!" A surge of fear and exhilaration coursed through him, but doubt nagged at the edges of his conscience. The weight of their lives depended on this one shot, but would it push them deeper into darkness, or provide a way to understand the ominous depths below? He took a breath, steadying his hands. In that heartbeat of clarity, they all knew their lives would pivot on a single moment. "Here goes nothing," he shouted, pulling the trigger. The harpoon sliced through the water, propelled forward with an otherworldly speed. With a thunderous impact, everything spiraled out of control, and an explosion of chaos ensued. As the monstrous beast reeled, Jack's heart raced, caught in a tempest of fear and uncertainty. What did they just unleash? With the harpoon still flying toward destiny, darkness loomed nearer. What lay beneath the waves would soon become a horrifying reality. Would they discover answers, or just plunge deeper into the abyss? The harpoon struck true, embedding deep into the creature's flesh with a sickening crunch. Jack felt the entire submarine shudder violently, as if the beast was a great anchor attempting to drag them down into the depths. He could barely breathe, but the adrenaline coursing through him surged higher, igniting a wild hope in his chest. What did we just do? Maria shouted, eyes wide and searching, a mixture of horror and excitement crossing her face. Hold on, Jack managed, his heart racing as the submarine bucked again. The alarm continued to blare, but now it was joined by a new sound, the frantic thrashing of the wounded beast crashing against the hull, desperate and enraged. Something flickered outside the porthole. The glowing smaller creature arced away from the chaos, circling rapidly. Jack struggled to focus, grappling with the confusion surging around him. It's still out there. It's going for the bigger one. Through the turbulent water, he caught a glimpse of the larger creature slowing, its eyes narrowing as it registered the pain from the harpoon. It let out a howl that shook Jack's bones and made him stagger back. That sound, it was a voice of anguish rather than fury, a cry that pulled on his heartstrings. What if it's in pain? Maria whispered, her voice barely audible over the din. What do we do? Jack asked, panic clawing at his throat. The revelation settled like a heavy weight in his gut, stirring a conflict within. They had to survive, but at what cost? He wrestled with the thought. Maybe they shouldn't have provoked the creature, but they were already in too deep. The smaller creature flickered closer, pulsating with light as it circled the giant. Jack squinted, trying to decipher its intentions. Whatever it is, it doesn't seem hostile. It's trying to help. Maria's brow furrowed deeply. Or it could be leading us into a trap. We can't trust anything out here. We need to reload the harpoon. As she moved towards the gear, the submarine shook violently again, the whole structure groaning as the larger creature thrashed against the hull, increasingly agitated. The alarm and echoes of the beast's rage enveloped them. Jack! Maria turned back to him, fear etched on her face. Get ready. I think it's trying to break through. He steadied the harpoon gun, gripping it tightly. Each thud against the hull sent jolts through him. Panic bubbled in his chest, urging him to act, drive the monster away, or face whatever fury was about to be unleashed. Just then, a deafening, piercing cry rang out, and the lights flickered before dimming. The creature's roar twisted into a haunting melody, merely a faint echo of sorrow. Jack froze, a shiver running down his spine. It's not just a monster, he whispered, realization dawning on him. It's more. It's a guardian, maybe? Maria's mouth dropped open. A guardian? For what? This part of the ocean? Before he could answer, the entire submarine lurched again. This time, it felt different, as if the creature was reeling back, assessing its options. Suddenly, darkness enveloped them. The porthole was veiled, covered in an enigma that blotted out any remaining light. Jack's heart raced as he strained to see beyond. Anxiety swirled. The seemingly endless abyss beyond held unknowable horrors. The harpoon was still lodged in its side, but it was the glow of the smaller creature that offered a flicker of hope. It glimmered brightly in the cold dark, illuminating the water like a lighthouse through fog. Jack, we can't stay here, Maria urged, shaking him from his thoughts. If it breaks through, we're done for. They had seconds to decide. A choice lay before them. To fight against the unknown with weapons drawn, or to attempt to understand the very thing they had disturbed. Jack's instincts screamed at him, but he couldn't shake the sudden pull of empathy, the desperate need to know the truth behind the fury. What if we try to help it? He suggested, a wild idea taking form. Maria stared at him, disbelief etched across her features. Help it? Are you insane? It's trying to kill us. It's in pain, Jack countered, determination flashing in his eyes. If we can reach the smaller creature, maybe it can guide us. A crash jolted them back, but Jack could already feel the hopeful tendrils of fate pulling at him. They had to act fast. Fueled by adrenaline and fear, they blasted through the dim compartment, ready to make a choice that would change everything below those turbulent waves. The stakes had never been higher. But would they reach out to the creature in time, or would this decision seal their fate? The cabin lights flickered violently, the hum of machinery drowning out the distant chaos. Jack's heart thundered in his chest as he seized Maria's wrist, their breaths unsteady with panic. We need to make this count. The small creature shimmered brighter, its luminescence guiding them toward the rear of the submarine where their gear was stashed. Let us just hope it knows what it's doing, Maria muttered, her voice tense with uncertainty. They raced through the narrow, crowded space, the walls still vibrating from the thrash of the massive creature outside. Each time it collided with the submarine, a shudder ran through their bodies. Jack felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration. They were about to leap from the precipice of survival into something altogether different. Over here, he shouted, reaching the equipment locker. He fumbled with the sliding door, a heavy weight of dread hanging in the air around them. With a gasp, he reached inside, grabbing a handful of tools and the medical kit, hope flickering like the glow in the water outside. That a crash echoed again, rattling the entire structure. This time, the sound was different, as if the creature was beginning to tire, questioning its own ferocity. It gave Jack pause, that hint of vulnerability. The beast was more than just an aggressor. It was a living testament to the ocean's wrath and sorrow. Jack, hurry, Maria urged, an edge creeping into her voice. She peered anxiously at the porthole, the darkness outside growing denser. It's now or never. With a deep breath, he rushed back to her side, gripping the medical kit and tools tightly. We have to get to that smaller creature. If it's a guardian, maybe it can help us reach the larger one. Around them, the alarms shrieked with renewed urgency, filling each second with an intensity that felt almost unbearable. Jack moved, instincts propelling him forward. Let us go. We can't waste this chance. As they pressed onwards, the submarine rocked again, and a creaking sound echoed through the metal frame. Jack glanced at Maria, who looked as if she might bolt if the next noise rattled the bowels of the vessel. Just breathe, he shouted to her, needing to keep her focused. Outside, the glowing creature darted through the murky ocean, its light leading them deeper into the abyss, away from the chaos above. With every flicker, Jack felt a strange bond forming, a connection that went beyond fear. Perhaps the ocean was sharing its mysterious wisdom with them. Do you think it'll hurt us? Maria asked, her voice a mix of awe and fear as she watched the smaller creature. I don't think so. It's trying to guide us to help, Jack insisted, his resolve strengthening. If they acted on instinct, they might just bridge the gap between predator and prey. Suddenly, the submarine lurched with a force that sent them sprawling to the floor. All the while, the alarm blared incessantly, adding to the sense of impending doom. The larger creature began to batter the hull more violently, its previous hesitation gone. Jack's chest tightened. They couldn't fail now. Not when they were so close to unlocking a new reality. Down there, he shouted, pointing towards a faint shimmer in the depths. The smaller creature was beckoning them closer, its glow pulsating with urgency. With a shared look of determination, they pulled themselves to their feet, moving quickly toward the corridor that led to the aft section. The pounding from outside seemed to intensify, an all-consuming rhythm marking the countdown to disaster. Jack reached for the door, pushing it open just as another roar echoed, sending tremors through the submarine. The world outside was pure chaos, cerulean scales and streaks of light, a dance of shadows battling against the abyss. Now, we can either cower away or reach out and make contact, he declared, voice steady despite the chaos. What if it doesn't want our help? Maria countered, but Jack could see the resolute glint in her eyes. Then we fight together, he said, determination sharpening his tone. With that, they plunged into the dark waters, leaving behind the familiar cocoon of the submarine. As the ocean enveloped them, a chilling realization washed over Jack. They weren't just dealing with monsters. They were standing at the precipice of ancient secrets, guardians of a world they barely understood. And just below the surface, everything they thought they knew was about to change forever. But could they decipher the guardian's true nature before it was too late? The water closed around Jack and Maria like a living entity, cool and heavy. Panic surged through them, yet the glowing creature illuminated their path, casting eerie shadows on the ocean floor. Jack's heart raced, not just from fear, but with a thrilling sense of purpose. He could feel Maria beside him, her presence a comforting anchor. "Look," she gasped, pointing ahead. The luminous creature flared brightly, revealing an enormous mass in the distance. It was the colossal guardian, its scales glittering like precious gemstones under the diminishing light. Jack's breath hitched in his throat. This was it. They were face to face with something that generations had only whispered about, an awe-inspiring manifestation of the ocean's power. "We need to approach slowly," he said, more to reassure both of them than to offer strategy. They glided forward, bubbles escaping their equipment as they approached. The guardian loomed not as a monster, but as a majestic being, encompassing power and vulnerability. Jack could see its deep-set eyes, and for a fleeting second, he thought he connected with it on some primordial level. They were both crewmates in this wild, oceanic expanse. Yet, the ground shook beneath them, the pulse of the larger creature still battering the submarine. The Guardian's expression shifted, dark clouds swirling in its eyes. It sensed the threat. Jack felt his heart wrench. They had to calm it, to show they meant no harm. But how could they communicate such a complex thought in this alien environment? "Maria, we need to signal," he said, gesturing for her to swim close. "Maybe if we can mirror its movements before they could even begin to attempt a delicate dance." The Guardian let out a resonating hum that sent vibrations coursing through the water. Jack pressed his palms against his ears. The sound was hauntingly beautiful, yet filled with sorrow. "What if it's calling for help?" Maria whispered, her eyes wide. Jack felt a surge of anxiety wash over him. "Let us try it." He closed his eyes and let his body sway gently, mimicking the rhythm of the Guardian's hum. Maria hesitated, glancing back at the darkness where their submarine had once been. But Jack's determination ignited her spirit. She followed suit, moving in unison with him. The Guardian's eyes flared, illuminating their surroundings, a response to their effort. But that powerful connection was soon shattered as the violent thrashing of the larger creature came crashing back into focus. The background vibration intensified, and panic erupted in Jack's chest. "It's not enough," he shouted, desperation lacing his words. The larger creature was relentless, its fury reflecting the rage of the ocean. "We want to survive this." The Guardian's deep hum transformed into a piercing sound that cut through them, shattering the water's tranquility. The world around them spun into chaos. Jack's instinct screamed at him to flee, but something deeper tethered him to the Guardian. In a final bid, Jack raised his hands, as if to capture the essence of the ocean itself. "Please, we're here to help," he yelled into the watery void, voice trembling. Then, fate swung in an unexpected direction. A fissure in the ocean floor opened up beneath them, revealing a hidden realm. Glistening treasures and strange creatures danced just beyond reach, but the Guardian seemed to shift, blocking their way. Jack swallowed hard, realizing they were at a crossroads. Protect the Guardian or plunge into the unknown, where danger and opportunity intertwined. Time was running out. The pound of the larger creature boomed like a war drum, urging them to choose quickly. Jack could feel Maria's pulse racing beside him, grasping the enormity of what lay ahead. What would they decide? Is this their moment to escape into a forgotten world, or would they stand their ground to defend the Guardian? But as the Guardian bore down on them, Jack's world narrowed, and he couldn't shake the feeling that whatever choice they made would alter the very fabric of their reality forever. Would they become champions of the unknown, or would they be swallowed by a tide they could never hope to understand? The water churned violently around Jack and Maria as they hovered in the tumultuous depths, the choice hanging heavily in the electric silence. Panic surged again. This time it felt suffocating, drowning out their thoughts. The Guardian loomed larger than life, its scales now reflecting urgency, shimmering wildly in response to the chaos. "Jack!" Maria strained to be heard, her voice barely a whisper above the clamor. "We can't just leave it. It needs us." He wanted to agree, his heart torn between duty and survival. The larger creature was relentless. It was a predator fueled by rage, intent on claiming anything that came too close. And now they were all trapped in this deadly dance. "I know, but if we stay," Jack began, But the sound of crashing waves echoed in his ears, pounding like a war drum, drowning out reason. The Guardian's eyes bore into him, full of ancient wisdom and an unspoken plea. It was as if it understood their fear, their dilemma, and was willing to protect them at all costs. Jack felt a sudden surge of courage. This was more than just survival. This was about connection, about becoming part of something greater than himself. "Maria," he gasped, "if we can gain its trust, maybe it will help us." Maria nodded, determination igniting a small spark of hope. Their instincts kicked and they began to move in a fluid rhythm, mimicking the Guardian's graceful sways. It was a primal choreography, one that felt innate, as if the ocean itself was teaching them how to dance. The Guardian's humming transformed, resonating deeper, each note shaking the water around them. The sound enveloped them, wrapping with warmth that pushed back the darkness creeping in from all sides. Yet, the larger creature was still roaring, causing the water to tremble. It was relentless, and Jack felt the pressure building. With every beat, the Guardian seemed to grow stronger, its presence becoming more imposing, as if it was channeling the very power of the ocean. "Come on," Maria shouted, "just a little more." Suddenly, a flash of brilliant light erupted from the Guardian, illuminating the murky waters. In that moment, Jack saw it, a massive form glowing in the distance, swirling tendrils of iridescent hues spiraling outward. The Guardian was summoning something. From the depths, a counterforce surged, a tide formed from the Guardian's might that began to repel the relentless assault of the larger creature. Shockwaves rippled through the water, throwing Jack and Maria backward. They braced against the onslaught as the Guardian's form expanded, rising to meet the threat with astonishing resolve. Then, in a split second, the larger creature lunged forward, its monstrous maw open wide, aimed directly at the glowing Guardian. Jack's stomach dropped. "No," he screamed, pushing against the pressure to reach the Guardian's side. The clash was monumental. The waters crackled with energy as the Guardian fought back with all its strength. Jack felt the currents pulling him closer, like a moth drawn to a flame. Maria's hand instinctively tightened around his wrist. "We have to help it, Jack." Her voice was fierce, unyielding. With determination blazing in his eyes, Jack swam forward, heart pounding. They needed to become part of this struggle, to channel the strength and the spirit of the Guardian. But just then, a deafening roar erupted. The larger creature, momentarily stunned, drew back, and in that instant, Jack caught a glimpse of something horrifying, a void, a darkness sailing out from behind the creature that made even the ocean tremble. Fear coursed through Jack as the reality of their battle dawned upon him. The Guardian was powerful, but what came next could break them all. They had to finish the fight, for both their lives and for the Guardian's very existence. But as the immense force of the unknown encroached, Jack's mind raced with questions. What was this darkness? Could they truly fight it both together? Did they have any chance left? He turned to Maria, his voice barely a whisper against the crushing tide. "What if we can't stop it?" As Jack voiced the chilling uncertainty that loomed ahead, the waves gathered ferocity, preparing to unleash their fury, leaving them to wonder if they'd soon be lost in an abyss of despair, or if together they could alter the course of history itself. The world around Jack and Maria erupted in chaos as the Guardian and the larger creature collided in a spectacular display of force. Pressure built with every roar that reverberated through the waters. Pressure built inside Jack's chest as dread took hold. They were on the brink of either salvation or catastrophe, and every heartbeat amplified the urgency. "Jack!" Maria's voice cut through the tumult, her eyes wide with determination. "If we can ground ourselves with the Guardian, we might harness its power." He could feel the thrum of the Guardian's energy pulsing with the ocean, each vibration laced with ancient wisdom. Jack nodded. There was no other choice. They had to stand beside the Guardian, fighting not as individuals, but as part of something larger. In one swift motion, they pressed their open palms against the Guardian's shimmering scales, feeling the warmth radiate through. A gentle pulse responded, wrapping around them like an embrace, fortifying their resolve. Suddenly, Jack felt a rush of clarity wash over him. Images of the ocean's depth flashed in his mind, each current, every creature. These Guardians were the keepers of balance. But the larger creature threatened that balance and everything they knew. With a fierce intensity, Jack focused on the Guardian's humming rhythm, matching it with all his being. "We're not afraid," he shouted, willing the Guardian to understand their shared mission. They weren't only facing a beast, they were confronting darkness itself. The Guardian responded, its shimmer growing brighter, sending waves of light through the murkiness around them. Jack felt an electric thrill surge through him, and he inhaled deeply, filling his lungs with purpose. "We must work together." As they united with the Guardian, the surrounding waves began to churn. The larger creature emerged again, this time fueled by fury. Jack and Maria clung tightly, surpassing fear as they pushed back against the impending dread. The Guardian expanded its body, a powerful silhouette against the dark tides. "No more," Jack shouted, channeling every ounce of strength into their desperate stand. "You will not take life from this ocean." The air crackled, shimmering with energy that twisted and swirled around them. In that charged moment, Jack felt his heart sink with the Guardian, an unstoppable force igniting within them all. The ocean, once so vast and isolating, became a vessel brimming with connection. The larger creature charged, but with a newfound force, the Guardian surged forward, meeting it head-on. The clash was exhilarating, like cosmic forces colliding in a celestial dance. Light erupted, illuminating the ocean floor, sending ripples through the uncharted depths. As darkness and light battled for supremacy, Jack and Maria's voices joined with the Guardian's hum, creating a melody more powerful than fear itself. They were not just spectators, they were guardians in their own right, bearers of hope against the abyss. The weight of the moment fell heavily upon them as they dove deeper into the fray. Jack's breath came sharply as he felt an immense pull, a gravity drawing them into the swirling chaos. The very foundation of the ocean felt like it was about to shatter. But then, a chorus erupted from within, a harmonious cry ringing through the waters. The Guardian's light exploded, pushing back against the darkness like a sun piercing through an endless night. The larger creature faltered, but it was not out yet. "Keep going," Maria urged, her voice raw and wild with determination. They had to drive the evil back. The dimensions of the battle shifted, evolving into a dance of survival. Time felt infinite, yet fleeting, a contradiction driven by the urgency of survival. With every ounce of shared strength, they pulled all the power from within. And then, in a final rush, the Guardian dove toward the creature, a nebulous force of shimmering light overwhelming all that stood against it. Jack and Maria felt the ground of their reality shift, tides turning under their determination. As darkness battled against light, a moment of clarity surged. The Guardian's form pulsated, and the growing light enveloped them. Jack steeled his resolve. They wouldn't just survive, they would transcend. The Guardian's pulse echoed in harmony with their own, and in that second, the darkness recoiled. Then the clouds of despair shattered, scattering like smoke in a rush of wind. The larger creature writhed, its anger subsiding, its fury doused under the weight of unity. With a final, agonizing shriek, the creature sank back into the abyss from whence it came. And as it did, the ocean around them pulsed with life, reflecting the fragile peace that emerged. In that quiet aftermath, Jack let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Relief washed over him. The Guardian turned, its gaze softening as it regarded them. They had become part of something extraordinary, a protector of the mysteries, a companion to the ocean's guardians. Jack's eyes met Maria's, both of them trembling with the weight of what they had achieved. "We did it," he whispered, disbelief mingling with joy. She smiled, tears brimming with emotion. "We made a choice." The Guardian swam gracefully around them, illuminating the darkness with its ethereal glow. They had forged a connection that went beyond fear. They had retrieved balance from chaos. As they ascended through the water toward the surface, Jack felt lighter, filled with a sense of peace that had eluded him before. Hope washed over him, as radiant as the sun breaking through turbulent clouds. They had faced the monster, stood their ground, and emerged victorious, not just as survivors, but as catalysts for change. In a world teeming with shadows, Jack knew this was not the end, but a beginning. They had found their purpose. They would share their story, spread the truth, It would echo in the hearts of those who came after. With newfound strength, he raised his fist as a signal of triumph. Together, we can change the fate of the ocean. And there, above the surface, the waves gleamed beneath the sunlight, whispering promises of a brighter world as they approached the shore of destiny. Now, friends, it's time to take action. You need to subscribe immediately to never miss out on these exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support, so smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Let us light up the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and wild theories about what happens next. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this breathtaking conclusion. Your role in this journey is vital. Be part of our community.